Okay, all right, there we are. We're online. So I was mulling this over to figure out how to do a video on it, and I was just, as I started thinking about it and thinking about it, it just dawned on me. Holy shit, we just lost our First Amendment rights. So let me back up. Let me give you a glimpse into my mindset so you can understand where I'm coming from, because otherwise I just sound like some crazy lunatic paranoid person who's, oh my god, they're gonna take our guns. That's not my that's not it at all. So let me explain this. So I live in San Francisco, and there was going to be a Patriots prayer, or prayer Patriots. It's some alt right thing that was going to be in Chrissy Field. Learned about white supremacists and Nazis and alt right, and I understand that. I completely understand that. But they pulled out at the last minute. They decided not to hold the event. I was at a rally earlier today. I had filmed a little bit of it. The whole city of there's a bunch of people in front of City Hall. The mayor, his name is Ed Lee. He was out there. There was all these groups speaking out against hate, which is fantastic. That is their right. They can speak about whatever they want. But there's a group that cannot speak. And this is what's disturbing. This is what dawned on me. So this group, the prayer Patriots, pulled out at the last minute. No pun intended. But they are not going to be in Chrissy Fields tomorrow. Let's listen to the speech, or excuse me, the person who was putting on the event. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully you all will be able to hear it.
Most people here in the Bay Area had even heard of the group Patriot Prayer. The group claims to be for those who believe in love, freedom, and truth. But from San Francisco's mayor to Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, there has been strong condemnation. Joining me now is the organizer of Saturday's event. His name is Joey Gibson. And Joey, city leaders and others say that you are a white supremacist, and so are those that come to your rallies. Joey, are you a white supremacist?
Absolutely not. I'm Japanese. We're going to have we have 3 black speakers, a couple Hispanic, a Muslim, an atheist, a transsexual. We're extremely diverse. I think it's really irresponsible for the leaders to call me a white supremacist, and it's completely unfounded.
So Joey, why do people make that claim, not only against you, but those that are also part of your group?
Well, I think politicians, I don't know why she made that lie. I think she wanted the publicity. I don't know if she's trying to stir up a riot. I'm not sure why she made that claim. It's okay to make a claim that, Identity Europa has showed up in the past and we kicked them out. It's okay to make that claim, but at the end of the day, you need specific examples of why anyone would say that I'm a white supremacist, because the things that I talk about, the things that I preach has nothing to do with skin color. It has to do with what's on the inside.
Okay, so you deny that Nazis, white supremacists, white nationalists are part of your group and attend your rallies?
Absolutely. Well, it's not a group. Obviously, we have extremists once in a while that try to show up, but we do our best to tell them we don't want them there. Probably the best example I can give to liberals. There's a lot of liberals who peacefully protest all the time. I see it in Portland, and it's awesome. And then you have these anarchists or Antifa that show up and hijack their whole message and commit violence and burn things down. Those anarchists don't represent the liberals that are peacefully marching on the street. It's kind of the same thing with us. If we have 300 people marching and one white nationalist shows up, they have no right to hijack our message or what we're trying to preach.
Okay, so Joey, let's talk about your group and its mission. What are you standing up for?
We're standing up for free speech and love and freedom. We're done with the politics. I'm done trying to tell people who they should or should not vote for. We have too many people right now who believe someone is an enemy because they have a different ideological perspective, and we got to get beyond that. I believe that politicians cannot solve our problems in this culture right now. The biggest problem we have is a lack of respect, a lack of love. We have so much hatred and so much division in this country, and if we don't handle that at a grassroots level, I do believe this country will burn.
So are you coming to San Francisco to promote conservative ideas?
No, I'm not. Although there'll be, quite a few conservatives there. My main thing is freedom. So, a lot of
So I'm actually just going to stop it right there. I'll put a link later on if people want to see the whole video, but I just wanted to give a little bit of it. Now, first of all, I don't agree with these people. It seems like it's a very Christian-based group. They're conservatives. The majority of the people are probably Trump supporters. They're people who I don't exactly meet eye to eye with. But that's not what America is about. What the hell is going on? That's not what America is about. America is about allowing people to have freedom of speech to share their ideas. Now, I understand on the far left side, I can already hear the cries, but it's hate speech that's different. Why are we giving them so much fucking power? Just think about that for a second. Why are we giving them so much power? This is what we do. We are allowing our freedom of speech to be destroyed by a group of people who probably hate everybody, hate themselves. It's not all of the people on the right. There's a lot of conservatives who don't hate people. They just have conservative values. They believe that we need to lower the debt by, cutting funding to certain programs that shouldn't be around, that are helping to support people to stay on welfare rather than work. They're conservative when it comes to taxes. They're conservative when it comes to immigration. They have all kinds of conservative ideas that I don't necessarily agree with. But regardless, they need the freedom to be able to speak it. So we are allowing ourselves to get to this point where we are so afraid of this demagogue. We are so afraid of this monster that we are willing to shut everybody down simply to silence a small, tiny, worthless, powerless, little, tiny group of individuals. So now, this is just the beginning. Now, if another group like this wants to hold another rally, it's going to be shut down. It's going to be shut down here. It's going to be shut down there. And we are giving our freedom of speech away. This is a very dangerous game we are playing here. And, I don't know what we can do about it. But if we allow one person to be silenced, then it's just going to spread, and it's going to spread, and there's going to be special, they're going to make some kind of special arrangement, like only certain people can have certain speech. Who's going to decide that? So this just really pissed me off. So I just had to come on and speak it. And truth is a very subjective word. Yeah, truth is a subjective word. But people can speak, period. I'm just seeing a lot of the stuff that's going on. It's really reminding me of times when we had the McCarthy era trials where everybody was a communist. And even before that, where everybody was a witch. And people got all scared and paranoid, and their immediate thought was to eliminate this threat, eliminate those people who are corrupting us. It's the same thing nowadays. We're seeing the enemy around us, and we want to get rid of the enemy. And so what we're doing is we're silencing the enemy. We're burning people at the stake right now by labeling them what we are projecting onto them. People are getting stabbed because we believe them to have a Nazi haircut. People are being beaten. There was a man who was hit, a black Trump supporter who was hit by some guy who was associated with the Antifa down in San Diego earlier today. It's turning to violence. And the violence is not on the right. I have to admit that. I have to tell you that. The violence is not on the right. The violence is on the left. we, those of us who are on the left, who consider ourselves to be open-minded and open and free and all for a democratic society, those of us who believe that we hold the values that are important to us, we are allowing ourselves to become a monster, and it is frightening. So, you know, I don't know what to do about it. But I think we need to recognize it. You know, I saw all these Facebook posts. Everybody's all happy that these people are not going to be speaking in Crissy Fields. I'm not happy about it. I don't care. I mean, I don't agree with them. I was going to go down there thinking that I could film it and, you know, maybe talk to some people and get some opinions from people. But I was also concerned about my safety. I was also, you know, I'm 50 years old. I'm not young anymore. I'm not ready to get into a fight. Not anymore, at least. I've had my share of fights back in the day. I'm not up for it anymore. But I was concerned. I was concerned that maybe my equipment would get broken. Maybe I would get hit, something like that. So I was not going to go down there. Yeah. So I don't know. I want to get other people's thoughts on this. So let me see who do we have in the chat. Let me just post it in here and copy this. Close. So I'll post the thing in here. So, oops. So what we're going to do is, if you make a claim, let's try to support it. Like if you claim that all X people are this way, well, we're going to have to support that somehow. I'm not going to let just baseless claims stand. And if you say something without really being able to back it up, then I'm probably going to ask that you retract it or clarify it or something, because I'm just not going to let it stand. So let's see, who do we got in the house? Hey, Lady Ambrosia. Hey, Kenny, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good.
Uh-oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. Hold on. I have my I have to change my settings. I can't hear you. Hold on. There we go. Now I can hear you. Hey, Kenny, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. And let me see. Let me just give it a roll call here, see who's here. Hey, Comedic. Hey, Pulse. Hey, Rich. Hey, Rich, how's it going? Good to see you in here again. Tuesday Pritchett. Oh, good. Okay. So what do you think about this, Kenny?
I think right now I'm mostly speechless because it's been an endless bombardment of event after event across the United States. And so I'm kind of processing it still. And mind you, I have to process it twofold because strangely enough, I have a class that is pretty relevant to this. So I'm just like, well, now I have to understand the point of view through the historical lens of Nazism.
Nazism?
Nazism.
What is Nazism?
Nazism.
Oh, Nazism. What is?
Yeah, I have to
What?
I have to.
What's the class?
It is a juxtaposition between the Holocaust and the Bible. So.
Okay, how does that? Okay, so I don't understand how that relates to right now.
Right now, I'm mostly looking through the ideology regarding. Yeah, right now it's currently a matter of understanding ideology because there's a lot to sift through. And recently, we were introduced to the more historical aspect of, like, bigger reasonings as to the matter itself, as to why people were viewed as inferior, not just on a religious level, but also on a biological level.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I understand I understand Nazism, but I don't understand how it relates. You mean just because of ideology? I don't understand how the class relates to today.
What I'm saying is that right now I'm dealing with both the historical context as well as the stuff going on around me right now. I'm just really overwhelmed.
Oh, okay. So dealing with the class and the stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I can understand that. Well, I appreciate you coming in and talking about it, because I'm sure it's probably like not really what you want to be doing on a Friday night.
No, it's fine. I mean, I have work tomorrow, and you know the fiance is sick, so made him go to bed early.
No, that sucks.
Well,
Yeah. Well, it's interesting how the Nazi Party rose up in power in Germany. You know, after World War I, a lot of people were upset and kind of looking for a scapegoat, and it was actually the Nazi Socialist Party. That's what Nazi stands for. And they were very much for the working class, and then obviously blaming the bankers and all the people who were supposedly having all the money, which, you know, led to them blaming the Jews, and then you know, having hatred geared towards them. But the rise of the Nazis was very I mean, everybody was really in support of the Nazi Party because they really believed that the Nazis were going to turn the economy around and save Germany. And in my opinion, it's very similar to how people feel today. They feel that a certain ideology is really going to save us, and all we have to do is eliminate our enemy and get rid of them, and, you know, our society will be better. So I have the perspective of, it's not the right that are not becoming the Nazis, it's actually the left which is becoming the Nazis, which I think a lot of people right now are probably doing a whole 180 in their minds, but it's pretty similar, because we're not really slaying dragons. We're not actually going out and killing monsters. We're looking for them. We're creating them. We're creating these people that we need to eliminate.
If anything, we're becoming less. We're not so much as we are Nazi. We would be Nazis. More the left would be more along the lines of incredibly ultra McCarthyists right now.
Yeah,
and that's only because so far as we've come to understand, we haven't exactly, like, especially with the left hasn't decided that there's some sort of biological flaw with people on the other side of things.
Yeah. And it's very disturbing to me, because I see the right, and when I'm talking about like the right, I'm talking about like the extreme right. I'm talking about like who are, you know, they're actually white nationalists who, you know, who really spout out hatred. I see those people. I don't see this as a loss for them. I see this as actually a win for them. You know, and so if we are allowing our free speech to be taken away, they're winning, and that's what really disturbs me the most. Because words, you know, people don't want to give these people on the right a platform. So what's happening is they're going underground, and they're figuring out ways to. And right now, especially with a lot of the how can I put this? A lot of the propaganda that is being perpetuated, I think it's pushing people towards the right. It's pushing them towards that ideology. So those people who are already feeling marginalized and, you know, awkward and not welcome and unaccepted, they're being accepted by that group. They're taking them in. They're telling them, hey, you know what? We're your brothers and sisters here. We love you. Those evil people over there. So their numbers, are, you know what I mean? Their numbers are just growing. And,
no, I totally understand that.
Yeah. And so that's what's happening. Hey, Billy. Yeah, it is a clickbait title. I was like, because I was like, all right, who's going to be up on a Friday night? Who's going to want to talk about this? Because
all you
like
need.
I said earlier, I was gonna do a video on this, and I was just so fucking pissed off. I just said, you know what? I'm just going to go online and just throw up.
The only way to make this more clickbaity is if you have a thumbnail with boobs.
Well, believe me, Kenny, if I had boobs, I would use boobs. Boobs are fantastic for getting stuff that you want. And anybody who won't agree with me on that doesn't have a heartbeat. Boobs will get you everything. I mean, I have the equivalent of boobs, but nobody wants to see it. At least nobody I'm really, really close to. So, yeah. So, just to kind of recap, there was for those of you who just joined us, there was a Patriot prayer event that was going to happen in Crissy Fields here in San Francisco. And there was all kinds of fuss being raised about these people showing up. And I showed a clip from this representative from them. And he was saying that they're not white supremacists. They're not Nazis. They actually were going to have a I think it's transgender or transsexual speak. He was Japanese. They were also going to have an African-American speaker, a couple of them. They were going to have an atheist speak. They're going to have Christian speak. So it was going to be a really diverse group to speak on freedom. It sounded like it was a religious group that was putting it on, but they were also saying that they don't associate themselves with some of the white nationalists, like the Europa organizations that show up at some of these rallies. And that's what I had assumed, because I've been to demonstrations. I know how they're organized. I know how they're put together. And very often you have fringe groups that sort of just, they just kind of pop in and start marching along with you. And you're like, well, shit, how can we kick them out? You can't really kick them out. So anyhow, so they pulled out at the last minute. And, we had a couple of chuckles talking about them pulling out at the last minute. But they decided not to do it because they were concerned for their safety, and people on Twitter and then my Facebook feed were very excited about it. And I feel it's a loss. I think it's a loss for our freedom of speech. So that's why I decided to come on here and start talking about it. So I'm going to post the, sorry, hold on a second. I'm going to post the link in here. If anybody else wants to join, let me, you're welcome to. Okay, yeah, go ahead, Kenny.
I keep being reminded of the quote by Noam Chomsky: if we don't believe in freedom of expression for people we despise, we really don't believe in it at all.
Right.
And the other thing is that I will say, I think I recently watched a video with regards to, I think it was the Charlottesville or something like that. I can't remember the name of the place. There was a huge issue, and the thing is, there's certain caveats to it. On one hand, the Antifa individuals should not have resorted to violence. That is absolutely uncalled for. I will say that the only thing, here's the thing: don't be violent. At the same time, don't say hateful things with the expectation that no one's gonna get upset at you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing: I think they should be allowed to hold their rally, even though I detest some of the things that are said, because there are some individuals there who attend that who are pretty unsavory. On the other hand, though, yes, they're gonna make people mad with their speech, but they shouldn't deserve any sort of violence because of it.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you. I think it's kind of absurd to go up to somebody and basically tell them that you hate them and not expect them to react to you. I think that that's absurd. I'm of the school of thought that if you get in someone's face and you say something to them, you're basically asking for a fight. However, I have sort of a different opinion of that. I think that we should let people speak, because what will happen is they're going to put their foot in their mouth. And it's happened a couple of times already. It's happened with what's his name? Damn it! This guy, he was on Vice, and he was talking about the Jews, how much he hated the Jews, and he was talking about some other stuff. He was talking about how he prepares for violence, and then there was a warrant out for his arrest. But we let him speak, and now we know exactly who he is. It's a perfect example. And then the police, now he's I think he's out on bail right now, but the police arrested him, and we know exactly who he is. We know what his views are. It's very difficult to understand what somebody believes if they just keep their mouth shut and they just sort of sit in the back and kind of plot. You don't really know what's going through their mind. But if you allow them, put a microphone in their hand and just say, "Go ahead, tell us what you think," and they start going on, okay, now we know exactly who that person is. And there was another guy who I mentioned earlier who had punched the black Trump supporter, who was a white guy, and he had punched the black guy. And he was bragging about it on Twitter. Somebody was saying, we're gonna call the police on you, and he's like, "Oh, go ahead," laughing out loud. Go ahead and do it. And so the police arrested him, and now he's in jail on assault charges. So, give people a microphone, let them speak, because we're going to find out exactly who they are. And, on Antifa's side, I don't think people are telling them they hate them. They're there showing up. It's a lot of these protests is counter protests, but they're not showing up dressed in black, wearing masks, wearing hats, wearing sunglasses, carrying sticks, carrying mace, carrying bike locks, carrying chains, multiple bottles, explosives, urine in bottles. They're not showing up at these rallies for peaceful means. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between those two things. I mean, I've been to a lot of peaceful protests, and peaceful protests are basically you walk along chanting or holding up a sign or whatever, and then you show up at wherever you're going to, and you stand in front of the door, or you do whatever you're going to do, and then you get arrested. That's a peaceful protest. It's not running down the street, breaking windows and kicking in cars and swinging sticks at people you believe have a Nazi haircut, So, yeah. So let me see. So, oops, got Lady Ambrosia saying,
I'm just pacing around my room.
Oh, okay. Lady Ambrosia says, "Boobs got lied looking on my channel today." Lady Ambrosia, I would have went on your channel even without the boobs, but the boobs were just a little extra. The boobs got me into a suit. Let's put it that way.
It's like a side dish.
Yeah. She'd get me in her chat anyways. She'd get me on her channel anyways, but the boobs got a suit. So, but so what about in your neck of the woods, Kenny? Have there been any protests or any supposed organizations or any rallies that have taken place or scheduled to take place?
If there are, I definitely haven't heard about them. Because I live on what Iowans call the Democratic side of Iowa.
Okay.
I live in the place where most of the people are, either complacent older individuals or stoned out of their mind college kids. So most of the time, I guess this quadrant of Iowa is pretty chill. I don't know about what happens out west. I try not to think about that because they're kind of scary. Also, their entire land is flat, so you know you can't trust them when their land is flat.
Oh, okay. Well, I know Iowa's pretty much a Democratic state, isn't it?
Iowa's actually a swing state in terms of election. In fact, a lot of the time people make this conjecture that like whatever happens with Iowa ends up happening with the presidency. So like it sucks because the way that it works is that we actually have relatively low gerrymandering in terms of our representative areas, but we have we get 4 districts in terms of electoral college stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But or at least actually no, it's 4 different sectors, and generally speaking, usually in terms of our representatives, we usually end up having I think it's I think it might actually be senators. I can't remember if it's the senators or the representatives that has 1 Republican, 1 Democrat. One of them, however, I think it might be representatives. We usually have 2 Republican representatives, 2 Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, ours is relatively balanced out, although depending on where you are in the state, it may or may not be that way. But usually, especially around college campuses, it's relatively normal, I guess. It's relatively low-key and calm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's like in big cities, mostly because the closest big city I've ever been to is Chicago, and I really don't want to think about what's going on over there because it's scary.
Oh, in Chicago?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In Chicago, at least 1 person is killed every day.
Yeah. I mean, I live across the bay from Oakland, so I mean, Oakland's actually been pretty good lately, the past couple of years, but for a really long time, it was very, very violent. Lately, it's been getting a lot better. Yeah, but Chicago's a bad. Yeah, it's a very violent city. Yep.
As of recent, I've been itching to just like do some ritual stuff outside, I don't want that around my family's property. I don't want that anywhere. I want to take a smudge stick. I want to go around the perimeter.
Is Chicago close to Iowa? I'm trying to think of the map.
Chicago's in Illinois, which is to Iowa's right. Yeah, to the right of Iowa, east of Iowa. Chicago is about 3.5 to 4 hours away. At least in the big city, the area that I lived in for 2 years of my life before I moved back and started school up in Iowa. That was 3.5 hours, maybe. But the thing is that even then, the area that I lived in Chicago, we didn't see much in terms of rallies. Most of the rallies that we saw were either larger suburbs or they were just Chicago in and of itself.
Because it's funny because, you know, I was born in Chicago, but I moved out of there when I was 3 years old. So I really don't remember anything about Chicago. So I'll tell people, you know, like, where were you born? I was born in Chicago. Oh, you know about such and such? And I'm like, no. I moved out of there when I was 3. We came to California. I don't know anything about Chicago.
I was about to say, you don't sound like you have a Chicago accent at all. And then when you said 3 years old, I was like, oh, that explains it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, because when we were 3, we moved to Southern California. So I lived in LA, and then from LA moved up to San Francisco, to the Bay Area, to Berkeley, San Francisco. But yeah, I know. It's like, so people ask me, was I born in California? I'm like, no, I lived here all my life, but I wasn't born here. I was born in Chicago. So it's pretty funny. But yeah, my family's from Chicago.
You seem to live in a very interesting state, to be honest.
California?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. Southern California and Northern California, like almost like night and day. They're almost like completely two different different time zones. They're like completely different zones. There's actually been jokes about like, you know, cutting California in half, and then like after Trump won, California was like, you know, wanted to separate itself from Southern California and separate itself from the rest of the United States. And yeah, it's pretty funny.
I heard that for a while, the University of Berkeley was its own like state or country for a while.
Well, yeah, because Berkeley was actually going to be the capital of California. And instead of Sacramento, it was going to be the state capital of California. I don't know how Sacramento actually stole that away from us, but yeah, Berkeley was going to be the state capital for a while. I don't know. I mean, I didn't go to the University of Berkeley, but I mean, it was a good campus, but it was a very interesting experience growing up in Berkeley. You know, but I mean, it was good because I got into politics there, and you know, I actually went through training because back in my day, we got trained to, you know, to how to be arrested and how to protest and all this stuff. And it just seems nowadays it's, you know, it's not that way.
I was actually planning. Oh,
go ahead. No, that's all right. Go ahead.
I was actually planning on picking up a book. There was a particular book that was going to be something related to that, and this was just like if there were any links I ended up going to at any point in time. Probably not, but you know how it is. There was one called "Pagans and the Law: Understanding Your Rights," which
is that by Kurt Cullen?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a police officer who lives in Canada. I had him on my show a while ago.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Actually, no. This one is Dana Eilers. Yeah, Dana Eilers.
I have no idea who that is.
Yeah.
But he wrote a couple of books about pagans and the law.
Yeah.
Really interesting.
I know that it depends because I know that I should probably pick up both sets of books anyway because his is from the perspective of a police officer. Dana's is from the perspective of an attorney. So really good combo.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, well, I put the link in there, and if anybody else wants to jump in, if not, I'll probably go ahead and wrap this up. I just really I just didn't know what to do with this. You know, I was just so frustrated with what I was comprehending, and I was thinking about putting a video together and started getting some thoughts going through my head, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump online and just start ranting. So, but,
it works.
Yeah, exactly. It works. Cathartic process.
Sometimes I write poetry that way. I just, you know, anger, sleep.
Right. I hate you all. I hope you all fucking die. You're all scum. All right, I'm just gonna go to bed. Good night.
I mean, that's how I write my papers too. Like literally, I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna down the rum and coke, and then I'm gonna write 10 pages. You know, nothing's wrong with that. I'm not developing alcoholism.
A long time ago, I worked for Spirit Halloween. Like, you know, when I was yeah. It was fun, but we were joking around because we would just get some of these just really obnoxious people who would just come in there and just fucking idiots, you know? And so we were joking around because the manager was a friend of ours, and basically that's how we so we were all friends already when we got the job. And we were like, what we're going to do is we're going to put a punching bag up in the break room, and you just go in there and just punch the shit out of it anytime you feel like it. And I think anybody who's in customer service should just do that. They should just have a room with a punching bag. You just go in there and punch the shit out of it every so often.
I'm a sales agent, so I do telemarketing, and I'm telling you, I have there's a punching bag in the break room. There's ping pong. There's a fridge that's usually stocked. Like, I've actually gone into the bathroom and just screamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know how annoying telemarketers are? That's me coming for you.
Yeah, telemarketers, when they call you, are just like the worst.
Oh my gosh. Like, it's not the like, I've had some nasty calls, but like for the most part they're like, oh no, I'm not interested. Bye. Just, you know, at least they have the decency to not, like, you know, swear at me.
Right.
And of course, like, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Number one thing, if you want to be taken off of the call list, they usually have something they have to read to you, and if you miss even a single word of what they read to you, they will not put you on that list.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, how would they know if you missed a word of it, though?
Oh, because you'll hang up. If you hang up before they finish, then you don't get put on the list.
Okay.
And then I was just like, sir, I gotta read. And then they hang up, and I'm like, well, you're not going on the list then.
Well, there was a supposed list you could get onto, and it was like a no-call list. And if you got on this list, supposedly they would have to take you off of all these lists.
It's the national no-call list. I've heard about that.
Yeah. So I've always wondered if that's like real.
Yeah, it's real. It's totally real. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
I do know that in terms of the stuff, what's interesting is that generally speaking, most people don't realize there's a national do not call list, and those who do actually get really angry when you call them because they thought that they were on it. I'm just like, and of course, if you don't call them, that's good because that means that it worked.
Right. Yeah, because I think it takes it must take like a couple of months or almost a year to actually have that take effect. Because I put myself in a no-call list, but I was still getting random calls from people.
Right. Oh yeah, no, like definitely. With some companies, it doesn't take that long, but others it can take up to 30 days. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's really, really frustrating. Mm-hmm. But like, I felt super at home because I found out I wasn't the only pagan in my office. So, oh my gosh. I was just like, thank you. I can talk to people about things. I can tell people I have a crappy YouTube channel where I review really, 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 really shitty religious things. I want to tell you something. Recently, I got kicked out.
You got kicked out of what?
I got kicked out of the place I was living before. I had to move back in with my parents. And the story was, have you ever heard of The Room or Birdemic?
No.
The Room is a movie written by Tommy Wiseau, and it's horribly acted and horribly shot. Birdemic is a similar situation. It has terrible CG as well. It's really badly acted. I literally found the worst Christian movie on the face of the earth. It is available for free on YouTube, and almost every single scene is green screened. And it's not good green screen.
It's not good green screen.
Now, here's the part where I got evicted. I downed a shot every time a crappy effect was on screen.
Oh, no.
I made it to 12.
No. Well, good. At least it wasn't my video.
Yeah. Oh no. You have quality content, man.
No, but I had to take a shot every time Bill Schnoebelen lied. video.
Oh, I have yet to do that, but I kind of want to play that game. I might have to review it, but I haven't come up with a name for that. I already came up with the idea for the review stuff. I decided to just call it Holy Shit.
Okay, I like that. I like that. Holy shit. That's a good one.
And of course, everything, the actual word is like censored, but it's like censored using Grelixes. So it's the $, the pound symbol, the exclamation mark, and the @ symbol. So, no, but like the first thing that I have to review is the absolute, I'd say that it's the Citizen Kane of horrible Christian films. Like, it is astounding because like they try so hard to be more important. They try so hard to make this like more epic than it needs to be, and as a result, it takes itself so seriously that you can't stop laughing, or you just make a riff tracks about it. But yeah, it's available on YouTube. It's called Miracle Man.
Yeah, because when I did that video where everybody where you're supposed to take a shot every time Bill Snowden lied, I had all these people like typing in the comments like, "Are you trying to kill us?" I did this and I just like passed out at the 15-minute mark or something.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but I mean, I think they were kidding, but it was just like people are like, "Oh no, we can't handle this." So.
I mean, I told myself that if I'm ever going to stick to any alcohol ever again, it's probably going to be just Red Bull and McGillicuddy's.
Ew, that doesn't sound good.
No, it's literally like a cherry bomb, except it's like an entire like drink's worth. It tastes like cherry soda.
Yeah.
You're not a fan of cherries?
No, not really. Yeah, no, not really. I'm not a fan of like cherry cola or really kind of like any flavored stuff. There was this one time that I drank some kind of blue soda with tequila, and let's just say it was one of those nights that I just, I just stopped drinking tequila after that. It's like, all right, that's it. I'm never ever drinking that again. So anytime I think of like tequila or whatever the hell that blue soda was, it's just like, it just turns me off, and my stomach.
You know what they say though: 1 tequila, 2 tequila, 3 tequila, floor.
You're right, floor. Exactly. Yeah, I think if you ever want to completely stop drinking any certain type of drink, whatever it is, just drink that entire thing for one entire night till you just pass out. You will never ever want to drink that again. Whatever it was.
I mean, the stuff that I had when I got sick, I actually like threw up. And what's worse is that the only thing I had in my system was popcorn, so it made a really big mess. And yeah, that kind of got me screwed, especially because I passed out. So long story short, I'm here and I'm never going to have Burnett's whipped cream vodka ever again. Don't have whipped cream vodka. It doesn't taste as good as you think it does.
Yeah, really.
Like, after a while, you're just like, oh, it tastes like medicine. Yeah, it actually, like, after a while, you just, like, get used to the fact that you're gonna flinch. This turned from talking about the issue of the
First Amendment?
Yeah, the issue of the destruction of the First Amendment to Kitty and Lilokin's drinking adventures.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's okay. I don't really care. It's
need to get it out of your system.
Huh?
Just need to get it out of your system.
Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of nice to. I mean, you don't want to always just dwell on negative stuff. You gotta balance it out too. So I mean, it's good to just kind of like lighten the mood up and joke about stuff because I mean, especially nowadays, people are taking everything so fucking seriously. It's you know, so it's good to just kind of like laugh at everything, laugh at ourselves, and just kind of like get past it, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was yeah. So I mean, it was a good thing to come online and just start talking to people, and these people in the chat, they're just going back and forth, back and forth. Irish Pug and Lady Ambrosia, they're going back and forth about whatever. I think I don't know. I think there's something sexual going on, but I'm not too sure. Because they're talking about magic sticks and twigs and crucifying pagans and burning witches. Ooh, I don't know. Uh-oh, Lady Ambrosia just wrote something in Arabic. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It's turning ugly.
Guys, stop. I can't read that.
I know, really. You know, if somebody starts typing in Arabic that, uh-oh, something's about to go down.
Oh, boy. That could sound really prejudiced if you think about it really bad.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever it is she typed, you know.
Sounds like it looks like it might be a swear. Hang on. Actually, no, I can't actually get to the chat because
I don't even know how people would type in Arabic, you know. I mean, I know that there's some way to do it. Like there's ways to type in Chinese characters, but
a lot of it has to do with like the transliteration of keys. I can type in Japanese, so it doesn't. Yeah. And that's fine. It's a lot more bothersome than English because I don't have a full vocabulary yet. Yay!
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I think I'll go ahead and just wrap this up. And,
okay.
So, what's going on with your channel? Are you just kind of on hiatus for a little while?
I'm on hiatus for a little while. I'm hoping that within the next couple of weeks, I can try and get a review out. It really does depend. I have an entire year slated, and mind you, this includes both a review and a reactionary. Right now, the person I have for my reactions is just my fiance, but later on I might get other people if I can get any time. But like right now, it's just been an absolute clusterfuck with school. So.
Okay.
Yeah. How about you?
Pretty much the same thing. Just relaxing and doing videos and, you know, going to work, coming home and making more videos. I mean, actually, I have like 3 or 4 videos that I actually have to work on. I just keep procrastinating with them. I don't know if other people who make videos out there ever run into this, but you have a video that's like, I don't know, like maybe 75% done or 50% done, and you just sit there and you just like, fuck, this sucks. And then you stop working on it. So you work on another video, you're working on that, you get about halfway done, you're like, oh shit, this sucks too.
I think I also have like a 3-parter thing for Holy Shit that I have yet to complete about how Wicca is satanic, and I'm just like, wow, okay. And then like there were some really poignant things that I'm just like, well, I'm gonna rip this guy a new one.
Yeah.
Except the only thing is that like at first I was like, oh, it doesn't seem right. I mean, this video is like 7 years old. It just doesn't seem right. And then I saw that he has a part 3 that was uploaded like last year, and I'm like, well, I think it was like in light of the coming election or something. But like it was like the part 3 for that series, and I'm like, well, now I gotta do this. Oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just, yeah. So I just kind of like, I have like, I think I have 4 or 5 videos that are just like,
oh jeez.
and I have one video that I'm actually really pushing myself to finish right now, and I actually want to finish it tonight. But I'll probably finish it maybe tomorrow. But get it uploaded, and it's probably going to be 45 minutes. I don't know. People don't really like 45-minute long videos, so it'll probably just be half an hour video. I don't know if it's better to just. I don't know if it's better to do like one long video or just break it into like 3 parts and do like 3 15 minutes.
I mean, if you want to know from personal experience, I actually appreciate longer videos, but that's only because what's nice is usually what I'll do is I will hook it up to my speaker and I will listen to it as I'm doing other tasks around my room, such as doing some housekeeping.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a pretty good format. I also I'm really big into like analysis videos, and so I usually have like 45+ minute videos that I listen to. So honestly, if you feel like it's the right format, go for it. At the same time, if it doesn't feel right to you, that's okay too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I might because I have to upload it in 15-minute increments. So I think it's actually like 47 minutes or something like that. It's going to be like 3 uploads plus like just like a couple of extra minutes. So that'll be quick. But each time, because I do it overnight, so right before I go to bed, I hit upload. So it uploads and I just go to bed. And then by the morning it's uploaded. So I'm probably going to have this one up probably Wednesday. That's what I'm thinking. Probably have it up Wednesday. But yeah, I mean, I mean, I don't mind long videos if it seems like it's interesting, because I've heard the same thing from other people. Like what they'll do is they'll just kind of like, they'll have it playing in the background and they'll just do their housework and just listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you might do that.
Yeah. And I did want to say that I actually have been really I've been really picky and choosy with my pagan YouTubers, because there are people who I like to show off, especially to my fiance, and he took one look at your channel and you're like, oh, I like this guy, he's funny.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, that's
He's
good.
He's funny, and he sounds like someone who I could sit down and have a nice coffee at the coffee shop with.
Little did he know, or little do they know.
Yeah.
They sit down with me and nope, you're like, oh shit, now I got to get away from this guy.
No. No,
Yeah,
he's pretty sociable, and I'm pretty sure I'd actually think that you two would get along. Yeah. But so you're probably gonna finish that around tomorrow, get it uploaded by Wednesday?
Yeah, because like I said, I'm gonna try to finish it tonight. If I can get it done tonight, I can upload the first 15 minutes tonight, and then Sunday night I can upload the other 15 minutes, and then Monday night upload the last 15 minutes and the last 7 minutes, and then once it's uploaded Monday, Tuesday morning, then I can combine the parts together and then release it on Wednesday. So that's what I'm thinking.
Are you going through some sort of copyright strike thing with the 15-minute time limit?
No, what it is because if you'll notice some of my videos are 1080p and some of them are 720p. So what it is the ones that are 1080p. So I use Adobe Premiere, the elements. It's not the big full version. It's like just the what do they call it? It's like basic or anyhow. So I use that one, but you can't upload anything over 15 minutes at 1080p, and it doesn't give you an option for 720p. So I have to do 15 minutes at 1080. But if I want, I could save it as 720p and upload it all in one night. But a lot of people have told me that they like to watch it in 1080p, so I upload it in the higher resolution.
Seems pretty fair.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, my videos aren't really graphics intensive. You know, there's not like a lot of graphic stuff there, so I don't know why people want it in 1080p, but they like it. Because I mean, if I upload it in 720p, then I only have to do it in one shot. Yeah. But yeah, I think if you get a copyright strike, you can't live stream and you can't upload 15 minutes.
Yeah. I know that a lot of the people who get copyright strikes are usually the people who do they're more of the review shows, so like because I'm a smaller channel, I guess I probably won't be dealing with that, at least not in the beginning. But like once I get to the bigger ones, that might be a problem.
Well, it also depends. It depends upon what you're using. Like if you're using music clips and they're longer than like 27 seconds or 25 seconds, they'll copyright it, you know, and then you'll lose monetization to it. If you're using like a clip from a movie and it's sort of just out of place and it's longer than 27 minutes or something, they might get it. You'll get a copyright strike, or they'll just monetize the whole video. But if you're like critiquing a video, or you're doing a parody of it, or
it's under fair use,
right? If it's under fair use, then it's okay. Then then it's fair use, and then there won't be any problem. So you really kind of have to be careful about context. That's where you run into problems.
And I do know that in terms of the actual thing, because I am smaller, there's less room for monetization in the first place. So, I'll just start off with just doing reviews, seeing where it goes. If it doesn't work, then I'll figure something out.
So what are you going to be reviewing? Like movies?
I have movies, I have shows, I have a lot of things on my plate. I'm absolutely terrified for the horrible monstrosity that is the Christian children's show, Donkey Ollie, because the main character looks like an abomination.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, I don't know I think movie reviews can be tricky because, I don't think you can review the whole thing. So you have to, pick out parts of it to review.
What's funny is that, I've seen people who've been able to do, reviews of it, and, the thing is that the worst that's happened is that people have actually, I think the only people that I know of thus far who have done, full movie reviews with, the things are, I think Say Goodnight, Kevin, who he himself is actually, a Christian who just really likes to critique Christian movies because he's like, wow, these really suck. And then of course there's the Bible Reloaded, and right. they usually are able to do the full reviews. However, they've dealt with several false DMCAs as well as false DMCA that they had to go to court over.
Right, exactly. Well, there was that one, and I was actually really disappointed in them because they raised all this money to fight the DMCA and to actually kind of set a precedence. And what they did was their lawyer talked to them, and they basically backed out and made a out of court settlement with them. And I was really disappointed because they had an opportunity to set a precedence, and I really wish they would have gone through with it, but whatever.
The good news is that the one thing that they did get through at least the Cristiano brothers' heads is do not fuck around with them.
Right.
You don't do that because you will lose a lot of money.
Yeah, I mean, it's expensive, between lawyer and fees and all this stuff, and then it can take years, Mm-hmm. And there was one copyright claim that I got from Anita Fuentes, and this is when she was attacking a whole bunch of other people. So she she got one of my videos taken down, and it was copyrighted or copyright strike. And I challenged it, and they ended up releasing it. And so I had my video remonetized. But I was prepared. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll go to court. I'll do it. What the hell? I'll represent myself and all this stuff. I love like running all this stuff through my mind and getting all psyched up for it. And then she dropped the case. I was like, damn it.
I mean, what's funny is that like even in a secular case, I think the one that I remember more specifically was there's a channel called I Hate Everything, and they do a lot of movie reviews, and there was this one thing that he did called Cool Cat Saves the Kids, and the director got so angry he threatened to have his YouTube channel shut down. He threatened to sue, even though the law firm that he quoted as being the one that he's talking to did not exist.
We cheat him and how?
Yeah, and it's funny because like the Cool Cat Saves the Kids is supposed to be about bullying, and like Alex from IAG is like, I don't think your mascot would really appreciate that, Daddy Derek.
It's a show about not bullying, and they're bullying people.
It's the worst. And on top of that, I think there's like the thing in and of itself. What's funny is that like Daddy Derek, they call him Daddy Derek. Derek Savage, like he's, because of the idea that this is such a bad movie, it's actually, because of these reviewers, it's actually gained more popularity, and there have been more sales for it than ever before. So like, if anything, they're giving him free marketing.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to look at it is, you know, if somebody reviews your movie, I mean, you're actually getting free publicity. You're getting exposure to a larger audience. I mean, yeah, it's beneficial, really. You know,
especially.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
No, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, like I said, you don't want to review the whole movie because then, well, they've just seen the whole movie. But I mean, certain highlights of it is nice.
I mean, when I do the parts, I'm not going to do like the whole review of the movie as though it were like a riff tracks. It would be like, so then they go to this, and we learn that this character has cancer. Be like, you don't show the whole movie, but like you just, it's just like, oh no, it turns out the character who's an atheist is a huge asshole. Who would have ever guessed that in this Christian movie? And it's funny because like what's really interesting is one of the movies on the holy shit chopping block is gonna be Sausage Party, which
Sausage Party.
Oh my god. Have you seen that?
No. Is it a Christian movie?
I wouldn't even say it's a Christian movie, but it has some themes about like, it has commentary about religion. I would say that it's a very interesting thing because like it has this whole like thing about like what happens once the food is taken out of the store, like the food goes to the great beyond, which is this wonderful place, and like everyone has a different idea of what the great beyond is, and there are two things very clear. The great beyond is a wonderful place, and anyone who has a different opinion as to what the great beyond is completely and utterly wrong. That is the basic premise.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
So
yeah,
like
people are saying it's not a Christian movie.
It's not a Christian movie. In fact, surprisingly, I would say that the main character is, I would say, the best representation of an atheist in a religiously driven or in a religious message film that I have ever seen. And I think that's one of the reasons why I want to be able to give it a review, because I want to look at both the negatives and the positives, because I genuinely think it's an okay movie. I just think that its raunchy humor goes a little bit too far. It's like Toy Story, but with food.
Okay, I got it. I get it now.
Yeah, and it really doesn't help that in the last 5 minutes there's an unnecessary sex scene, but You know,
Unnecessary sex.
necessary.
When are sex scenes necessary? I mean, they're never really necessary. They throw them in there really just to keep people's attention in between shots, really.
One of the things that I have learned in my history of reviewing cinema is porn and plot are kind of opposites.
Right, exactly.
Like, if you have a porno, it normally doesn't have a strong plot. If you have a movie with a plot, there's a lot less sexual stuff going on.
Yeah, but there are some pornos out there that actually do try to have like a plot. It's actually kind of funny. Like, what's it called?
The ones with the pizza man.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the typical one. But no, I'm talking about like actual, like, they'll do covers of movies, like Pirates of the Caribbean. That's the one I was thinking of. And it's like, it's a whole Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but it's a porno.
That sounds intriguing and also really weird. You have some weird stuff out in California.
I mean, it just doesn't really quite work out because, I mean, you know, it's not the point of, you know, you're not watching a porno for the movie, you know.
No.
But it's funny when they try, you know.
It's funny when they do. And that's like one of the main reasons why I also really like watching like religious films is that like there are some that are genuinely funny and I actually like, despite it not being my denomination. Of anything, and there are some that try so hard to be self-important that they fall flat on their face and it's funny. Also, I'm not even joking, they made Christian Mingle the movie.
Oh no.
It's literally an 1.5 hour long commercial for a dating website.
Oh no.
I could hear the gears turning in your head like, oh God, please don't make me watch this.
I mean, exactly. I mean, how could you turn that into a 10-minute movie or a 20-minute movie or an hour movie? I mean, that's just too much.
I think it's funny because like what makes it even worse is that like, unlike Miracle Man, which is considered to be like the Birdemic or The Room of bad Christian movies, Christian Mingle is actually considered the actual Citizen Kane of bad Christian movies. It's actually quite like, I think there's like a single joke, maybe 1 or 2 jokes that actually land, but like everything else is just like, wow, that's awkward.
So what do you think about Dorian Virtue?
Dorian Virtue.
Yeah. Have you heard about this?
No, I need to look this up.
So Dorian Virtue, I think she was like a new age person. And I guess she renounced the Tarot and renounced she was sort of like kind of like a new age fringe. And she decided to be like baptized and just renounce the Tarot and all this stuff. But she was really famous for Tarot. Like she taught classes on it, and there was a lot of people who really liked her. And so she kind of denounced all of it and said that it was evil, and decided to be rebaptized. Or I don't know. I'm just assuming she got rebaptized and made a Christian again. Hey, David, how's it going?
Hello. Hi. I was sitting in the chat, just minding my own business, watching you guys, and then I decided to jump in the second I heard Dorian Virtue's name.
Mm-hmm.
I've come across her name when I first started entering the New Age section back in Barnes & Noble when I was a teenager.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing her name, and I'm like surprised to actually hear that she pretty much renounced it and be baptized again. I figured I needed to hear this, and I needed to comment on this.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I should really be careful with my words. I don't know if she was rebaptized for sure. I'm just assuming that. You know, I don't know for sure. But I do know, and again, from watching other people's videos, that she she renounced like the tarot. She thinks it's evil, and she's given her life over to Jesus, and that's what she's doing. But there were a lot of people who are following her, or who were following her, and bought a lot of her books and bought her angel tarot decks and all this stuff, and they feel like some of them feel betrayed by her.
Yeah, I can understand where that's coming from. I mean, you're building up like an area, a safe haven for those who study, and then all of a sudden you just drop all of it and renounced it. And it's not just like a regular thing when you're like, if you get converted to something, when you become Christian, you renounce everything that's outside of Christianity, claiming everything outside of it evil. So everything you've done, everything that people has followed you for and actually read within your books, it pretty much means nothing now.
Yeah.
I mean, like, maybe not to them, but they see it as the author herself just pretty much took her own book and just tossed it into the fire. It hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, I mean, I never really got into Doreen Virtue. I mean, I seen her books on angels and all this stuff, and it never really appealed to me. I knew that she was sort of like a new age person, but she struck me as one of those people who, I don't think she was serious. I think she was in it to make money. And I think that's what she did. And I think recently she found out that she's not going to make too much money in the new age field anymore, and so decided to, renounce it and go over with the winning team, sort of say. And I mean, people like this I deal with a lot, people who claim to have been witches and moved over to the Christian side. And I have to admit, I mean, I think that these people, they're just not serious. They're not committed to what they believe in. They're sitting on the fence. They're kind of just playing around. They're not really serious about it. And you can see people like that, even people who are big, and they're kind of still flirting with, that other. They're still flirting with that idea that somehow they can sort of kind of ride the fence. And I don't think you can. I think you sort of have to make a decision, hop on one side or hop on the other one.
There's a certain idiom that says, if you are standing in the middle of the street, you're more likely to get run over. I think that's very poignant here.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just doesn't seem like, I mean, there's a lot of authors out there who create tarot decks, and it seems like they're really kind of committed to it. They're really interested in it and really committed to it. I never really felt like Doreen was into it. So, I mean, I watched people's videos, but I wasn't really going to do a video on it because there was nothing that really appealed to me. So I never felt like she betrayed me or anything. I just don't think she was ever really serious about it.
I understand that, though. I mean, she had a lot of readers. I've known a few people that actually taken up her book and her work. So it is, in a way, a betrayal. And it's, I mean, being a pagan, I've actually known my fair share of betrayal. Somebody you love and such, and once they find out or become Christian or such, they decide to just toss you to the wolves because maybe it's not them, but it's in the Bible. And yeah, I've been tossed to the wolves, not literally, but per se. And I mean, it's hurtful. So, that person pretty much detaches everything from what they have stood for, studied, and actually done for people, and decide to just go to the Christian area. I mean, like, that's your faith and whatever. I'm not bashing Christians. I'm just saying that once you become a Christian, everything you have done in the past, you're pretty much, as I said, tossing it to the fire. Yeah. Disrespecting it.
Yeah. But I mean, I remember seeing like her books on angels, and I remember just seeing at that time, like, she's still a Christian. I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with being a Christian, but I mean, I just felt like, why is she why is she into tarot? Why is she doing this new age stuff? This woman is obviously has certain beliefs that are not exactly in line with what the tarot is. And, you know, I know people have different beliefs about angels and stuff, but hers was a very Christian concept of angels. And so I just sort of looked at it, and I remember seeing her books and just going, you know, this woman is just she's not serious about it. And I think that if somebody is serious about something, they should throw themselves into it, you know, throw themselves 100% into it. So
Mhm.
I feel like if when it comes to spirituality, you should put your all into it, and to actually like pretty much, you know, create the illusion that you are, and actually focus on making the money out of it, and just focusing on what business will actually bring, then it's like just being a straight up sellout. Where's the spirituality at? Where's the truth? Where's the wisdom? No, it's just basically, oh, you know, it's just for the cash, whatever brings the dollar. All right. So your God is either the war god, Jehovah, or the almighty dollar.
right.
Who are you worshiping? Who are you looking towards? Whoever is going to save you from the pits of poverty or hell?
Yeah.
It's a big thing. I mean, I've never really read one of Dorian's books, but it's just seeing that when you see a person that's pretty much a figurehead in the New Age section. I've worked at Barnes & Noble for 3 years. So passing by the cafe to clock in, I've always seen her name pop up in that area. And I've actually shelved her books. To actually now see that this icon pretty much move her books to her works to actually 4 aisles down to the Bible section and just pretty much ignore what you have written before in the New Age section is disrespectful.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I know I did a video on that guy Stephen Baccaraz. I think it was Stephen Baccaraz. But he pretty much is the same thing. He claims to have been some new age guru, and then suddenly he like decided one day he's renounced the tarot and it was all evil, and he recommended to people to actually burn the tarot and burn all these things and burn all these books. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, I can understand people, you know, like if they're not serious about it and they're going to convert to whatever, that's fine. But don't like, I mean, if you renounce what you have done before, that it makes it seem like, it makes it, I don't know, there's something that really irks me about that. It's like, how can you renounce what you were practicing for X amount of time? It just doesn't seem right. There's something really bizarre about that.
Agreed on that. You
Yeah.
put work and dedication to it, and to actually just close that chapter off and pretend like it never happened, to actually say burn a book is a disrespectful point for any reader, for a sage, for anything. I mean, I don't believe in burning any type of books, not even the Bible. Well, except the Malleus Maleficarum, also known as the Witch's Hammer. That's the only exception. Burn that shit if you ever find it.
No,
I don't.
no,
No, I
don't
don't
burn it.
approve of
No.
that book.
No,
That
you
book
got
is
to keep.
horrible.
You got to keep the history. They're also another thing that people don't know is there was also the Juden Maleficarum, but it was called the Hammer of the Jews. And so during that period, there was a lot of people who were heretics, who were burned at the stake, were not only just accused of witchcraft and heresy, but there are also people who were, you know, practicing Judaism, Islam, Moors. So it wasn't just, you know, people accused of witchcraft. So, I mean, if you ever do a Google search on it, I think it was just type in like Hammer of the Jews and it'll come up. I forget I think it was called Juden Maleficarum or Judem something like that. But I mean, that's historic. I mean, yes, it's an ugly period of time, but you know, we have to remember that. Otherwise, it'll happen again. You know. So I sorry, David, I'd have to disagree with you. Don't burn it.
No, we need those books for our history. If you'd like to buy your own copy and burn it, that's your prerogative, but I'm gonna keep mine.
Yeah. Understood.
I mean, you could kind of like maybe, I don't know. But the funniest thing about Doreen Virtue is, I mean, she wrote like a lot of books. And also, just for clarification, I don't think she recommended burning her books, but this guy Stephen Baccarat did. He recommended burning books. But Doreen Virtue wrote so many books, you know, and so what? She's just going to renounce all of that? Those books don't matter anymore. It just seems really bizarre.
It is.
What a weird name, Virtue. That's clearly not a virtue at all.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Thinking about it, she says she was born again. I'm guessing she became Protestant in some way, because if you're working with angels or you're focusing on angels in any way, that's more on the Catholic basis. You know, the Catholic mythos and such. That's more practice. While more for Protestants, they actually don't give 2 cents to angels. They focus mainly on the what do you call it? The triple, the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah,
the Trinity.
Okay.
They don't even focus on those 3. They don't even give 2 cents to Mary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I think she turned her life over to Jesus, so I'm thinking she's some type of Christian. You know, I'm thinking Christian.
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
She's likely evangelical in some fashion, especially with regards to being born again.
Mm-hmm.
But it does depend on the sect, because I know there are different evangelical sects.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are Baptists, and like usually it's an adage to the sect title, but it gets confusing.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, it's just interesting, but I mean, I that's why I wonder about. I see some of these people who you know, like to me, it seems like they're still kind of on the fence about stuff. And I just wonder, like, are they just one day just going to hop over and just say, oh, I was a pagan or a witch for X amount of time, and I renounced that, and I'm a Christian and born again. It's like, it's going to be the same thing over and over again. You've never heard like a pagan, like, you know, jump over and say, oh, I renounce Christianity and now I'm a pagan and those Christians are awful, terrible people. it just doesn't happen that way. I mean, maybe it does, but we never hear about it because they're not famous enough.
That sounds like me when I was like 14. Now I'm like 7 years later, I'm like, wow, that was a really dumb version of myself that I want to forget. Let's drink to that.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, you might be, for example, you might be like a pagan who like was Christian and that, but it's not like you have to renounce it. You know what I mean? It's not like we have any kind of a ceremony where you have to like renounce your old religion and turn yourself over to the god and goddess, you know?
It's just like, hey, I don't think this is cool anymore. All right, I'm gonna go have a latte.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's kind of like, you know what? Nah, I don't believe that Christian bullshit anymore. I much like paganism. I much prefer paganism. And then that's pretty much the extent of their conversion. You know?
Pretty much. I mean, not seeing it so flashy doesn't really make it to the TV shows. Speaking of TV shows, would I be wrong to say that we'll be expecting Miss Virtue on any of the documentaries?
Oh no, she probably will. I don't know. Maybe she'll. I don't know if she's going to go that route. I mean, because a lot of these people who do these circuits of, you know, they were ex-witches and all this stuff, it seems like they really have to play it up. I don't know how much Doreen would be into, making stuff up and playing it up, and because you have to make it more than it really is. You can't just get up in front of a Christian audience and just go, well, I was into witchcraft and the tarot for 20 years or 30 years, and I decided to become a Christian one day. And that's pretty much about it. Good night, folks. You have to sit there and say, oh no, I saw this dark evil force come up when I cast this circle from the King of Solomon, and I had to sell my soul to the devil. To really sell it up. So.
I didn't have giant bat demons chasing after me on Halloween.
Right, exactly. Yes, I was defiled by ruby red-eyed demons on Halloween night when I was 14 years old.
Can you define defiled, please?
Define defiled, exactly. So I just can't see Doreen just going to that extreme. So I don't know. She might who knows? She might make the circuit. That would be funny.
For the almighty dollar, maybe.
Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, and I think that's what she's really chasing after.
Yeah, and mind you, if it were ever a situation where paganism became the dominant religion, do you think she would ever be like, "Oh no, I was a pagan the whole time"?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I was just joking, guys.
And we sit there and cross our arms and just shake our heads in silence.
Well, it's funny nowadays we have this concept of paganism, but I mean back before the cult of Christ rose up, that was just the religion of those people. Those people practiced their beliefs, their religion. We didn't call them pagan religions. Now we have this identity of pagan religion, but it's really just a blanket term for all these various practices, So it's just interesting. So, all right. Well, it's good. How's everything been going with you, David? I haven't seen you for a while.
Yeah, it's getting better now. It's just been a struggle over here, living in Pennsylvania. Different scenery, a lot of things to take care of, but it is getting better.
Well, good.
So you will be seeing me more in chat.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen you in the chat, but you haven't joined in, so
a lot of overtime.
Yeah. Now, how's because you got a new job when you moved to Pennsylvania too, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And how's the new job working out?
Well, it's pretty quiet and lonely. I mean, it's working in a large Amazon warehouse, so there's over 1,000 aisles. So of course you're gonna find yourself alone in an aisle, quiet aisle, and at times you'll find yourself or others speaking to themselves. But yeah, it's fine. It keeps the bread on the table.
Well, can't you talk to your coworkers? Like when you're working?
Not for too long.
Really?
There is a system where you cannot talk for too long, otherwise the rate that they have will pretty much diminish, and you may risk losing your job.
That's
yikes.
Yeah, that sucks, because I mean that's what gets me through work is especially if you work next to somebody who's crazy. I mean, I'm serious. That will get you through whatever it is you got to get through for the next 4 hours. If you're working next to some crazy ass motherfucker and you guys start talking about weird shit, that clock just spins so much faster.
The 11 a.m. conversations I have with my telemarketing buddies usually consist of things like how much we hate the concept of having to shove an IV needle into our arms, or why drowning is agonizing.
Right, exactly. Like, what's the best way to commit suicide? Some of the weirdest.
What's the most painless way to do this?
Exactly.
It's not drowning. That's the answer.
Yep. Yeah.
Also, do not jump off the San Francisco Bridge. You will definitely not make it.
Well, now they've got nets because a lot of people jumped off Golden Gate Bridge. They've got nets.
Oh, jeez.
Yep.
I wonder what that does to their skin, though.
I don't know. I mean, it can feel good because you're going to bounce probably. I mean, I just think what they should do is just like have, like little drones that are connected to a bungee cord. And just as soon as somebody jumps off the bridge, a drone just goes down and just slap that bungee cord. Bing, goes right back up. I don't know.
It sounds like something that like the Californian version of Spider-Man does.
Seems to be true.
Yeah.
I'm actually looking up some information on Doreen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I know there's been a lot of videos. A lot of people have made videos on her. And I mean, I was kind of like, somebody asked me my opinion of it. They gave me a video of her, I guess, talking to somebody, and it ended up getting taken down, or she took it down, or something like that. But I was like, I don't know. I didn't really get into Doreen. Like I said, I just never really believed that I didn't really buy into her bullshit. And, I don't think she really bought into her bullshit.
Yeah, that's the funny thing that I've learned is that like people who talk about like angels like tend to not know. Like, I haven't met a whole ton of people who have done solid angel communication that's been like not motivated in that sort of religious way. At the same time, like, I also am looking up that she also did fairy communication as well, and I'm like, I work with fae. I'm like, I work with fae. I don't want to read any of your books, especially because fae are chaotic by their very nature. Like, not even like in the bad sense, like they're enigmatic.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result of that, like, it's very hard to pinpoint a proper way of connecting, because once you find a way of connecting, you can only use it once, and then you got to find a different way.
Yeah. So I mean, I didn't even know that she got into that. I know there was a peak time where everybody was talking about fairies, and I think it's popped up again. People are talking about fairies again, which is cool. But I don't know. I just never got into any of her stuff, really. So, and I mean, angels, the concept of angels are interesting, but if you take it from a historical perspective, I think it's really interesting to look at the history of both demons and angels. But it seemed like her books were just kind of like, I hate to use the term, but sort of like this just very fluffy bunny surface, what's already assumed about angels, like the traditional, movie version of angels, with no real exploration of how they evolved or what they're based on, how they've evolved from the Greek concept and the Roman concepts. And, that would be interesting to really kind of take a historical viewpoint of angels and demons. That would be interesting,
What's funny is that I can't remember if it's the seraphim or the cherubim that are the ones guarding the tree, but one of my professors, he's in rabbinic studies, he explained this is apparently what an angel is supposed to look like. They have 4 heads, 3 of which are animals. They look in the 4 cardinal directions, and I'm not kidding you. Like, they have 2 sets of wings, one of which covers parts that are assumed to be their genitals. And on top of that, instead of having feet, they are on wheels that only go one direction back and forth.
Interesting.
And I'm just like, how can you take that seriously?
And
Wow.
do you know where he got that description from?
No, I can't quite
The
remember
Bible.
where he got it.
Oh, is
It's,
that what it says in the Bible?
Yeah, a good
Oh.
portion of that is in the Bible. I've actually looked through it. I don't remember where exactly. It's most likely in the Bible, or I might have read it in the Enochian section, which is not part of the official Bible. But
Mhm.
yeah, a good portion of the description of the angels are in the Bible, though it's very vague.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know in ceremonial magic, and I think in some types of Wicca too, they'll use the 4 archangels of the directions. That's very common, especially in ceremonial magic, and that has the head of a man. You know, there's one that has the head of a bull, head of a lion, head of an eagle, and then each one represents a certain direction. And those are, you know, the names used from angels in the Bible.
yeah, and I think those are similar to the 4 heads that are shown for that particular
Now that I
being.
remember. Yeah, I recall now. My brother, when I was younger, my brother was having a debate with my father, and my brother was very rebellious, and he wanted to like pretty much debate about anything against my father. So he pointed out something of how the angels had looked in the Bible. So he pulled it out, and he started talking about how the description as you were given, you know, the 4 heads and everything, and how this being came down in some kind of metallic vehicle that was making some kind of mechanical noise that descended from the sky. And he right then and there he said, "Dude, they're talking about aliens in the Bible." And I'm like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, "Oh snap, this does look legit." But my father was dismissing it since, you know, he is a Christian and such.
Mm-hmm.
When I heard mechanical noise, my first instinct was Transformer for some reason.
Well, it is. I mean, it is interesting. You could interpret it that way. I mean, it does kind of sound like that.
Yeah, it really does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just really interesting. I was having fun the other day when, you know, when we were having the solar eclipse, and people were talking about how our ancestors looked up to the sky and believed that the sun was being eaten by a serpent, or, you know, they had all these crazy ideas of what our ancient ancestors believed. I was like, okay, have you heard of Antikythera device? It predicts lunar and solar eclipses, and it was created 3,200 years ago. It's like, and you think our ancestors were running around superstitious idiots thinking that the sun was being gobbled by demons? They were probably much more advanced than we actually believe. I don't think that our ancestors were sacrificing humans on stones, believing that the sun god must be replenished of life.
That sounds familiar.
You'd have to be a crazy Santa Claus looking man to believe that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, really, exactly, with their initials of BS.
I mean, this might be going over my head, but are we talking about Abraham?
No. We're talking about the Bill Schnoebelen. But have you ever heard of the Antikythera device?
No, this is new to me.
Oh man, you got to look it up. It was a way of predicting. It's, first of all, it's based on a heliocentric model of the universe, not a geocentric, heliocentric model of the universe. And it was put together 3,200 years ago. I might have that. It might be 2,000 years old or 3,000 years old. I think it's 3,200. So I might be wrong about that. But they, by moving a dial, all of the planets, and they had the set, you know, the major 5 planets besides Earth, Sun, and Earth, besides the Earth and Moon. And because they didn't know about Uranus or Neptune or Pluto back then. But those 5 planets, and it also when you crank the device, it also moved one little marble or wood thing that was shaped, that was half of it was black and the other side was white, and it predicted the phase of the moon. It also predicted solar eclipses and lunar eclipses. So they knew when solar eclipses happen, what the moon cycle was, the position of the planets, and all that stuff to be able to create, and then just creating the gears of the Antikythera device. Like they had a guy was putting it together today, like in modern age, trying to use the tools that they used that they would have had access to back then, and the precision that they use is just incredible. So our ancestors were a lot more intelligent than people believe they were. I have a playlist on my channel. It's a 4-part documentary on the Antikythera device. So, but yeah, I highly suggest finding out more about that.
That's very interesting. It's kind of picking up the question of if the older civilizations were able to come up with this, how did we get to a point where a good portion of the world actually believe that the world or the Earth was the center of the universe, and that the heliocentric theory was blasphemy?
Well, you mean the heliocentric model of the universe was considered heresy, and the geocentric model was accepted, mainly because of the model of the universe had to match the Bible. And so that's why, because I mean, even in the time of Copernicus, they could measure that the Earth was round, but that was denied for thousands, hundreds of years until Galileo tried to tell people that the Earth was not flat and it was round, and he was locked and put under house arrest because they just didn't want to believe it. They felt that if they accepted a heliocentric model of the universe, then they would have to also question other things in the Bible that they just weren't ready to question.
I think there was a really prominent quote with regards to Galileo that I remember was at least attributed to him, and it was religion should teach people how to go to heaven, not how the heavens go. And it was basically this understanding that it's not meant to be a book to tell you how the world works, just to tell you how to be a good person. And then additionally, I think my professor said something along the lines of, I think people think like they want the Bible to be true because they want the impossible to become possible, and by that I mean they want to be able to confront and defeat death.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you read the Bible metaphorically and understand that it's allegory, it makes perfect sense. Mm-hmm. But if you try to read it literally, it just disintegrates. It doesn't make any sense. And then you have to be absolutely insane to believe it. But if you take it metaphorically and allegorically, then it makes sense. Then you read the stories from a different perspective. Oh, yeah, okay. He defeated him with the jawbone of an ass. Okay, yeah. And if you read it that way, it makes much more sense. The concept of man and woman being kicked out of the Garden of Eden once they had the knowledge of sin and looked upon themselves and saw that they were naked and understood that. And I mean, you can kind of say that, yeah, our knowledge is what, that's when we stopped we no longer were sort of children in a sense. We actually started taking our own agency and started looking at the world, good and evil, morally. Mm-hmm. But if you take it literally, that doesn't make any sense. Metaphorically, yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
I gotta get going.
Otherwise
I'm never gonna sleep.
All right. Well, good night, Kenny. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Yeah. Take care.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna head off too, David. So
All right. It
yeah,
was
it
good to
was
speak
good.
to you again.
Yeah, it was good talking to you. And I'm gonna have another hangout tomorrow at 7 if you wanna stop in, if you
Well, sure,
can.
I'll try to make it.
Yeah, cool. All right, David. You have a good night, buddy.
You too.
All right, good night. And everybody in the chat, have a good night, and thanks for stopping in. And don't give your freedom of speech away so easily. Night all.
Mm-hmm.